We go. Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey. And Ellen's again. Are you here with me again, Ellen?
I'm here.
Very
Can
good.
you hear me?
Absolutely, I can hear you. And
Awesome. Awesome.
last time last couple times we've done some reviews of starting the seeds indoors, et cetera, and stuff like that. And now you have these beautiful plants that you've nursed along through 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Okay, now it's time to get them used to the outdoor world, right?
Right. We don't want to take them out and treat them like they're adults.
Okay, because they're babies, aren't they?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, and people make this mistake, and I, working with the school kids every once in a while, we've seen them make this mistake. They would nurse
Right.
these plants along for a month and a half, and then they'd take them outside and they put them in a hot sun and kind of forget about them. They were going to bring them back in a couple hours, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where they burned them all up, okay, in the sun.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
and I try to remind people that you wouldn't take a newborn baby out, and put them in the hot sun.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to do it gradually, don't you, Ellen?
Right. Take them out a little bit at a time. Once the weather, warms up enough that they can stand the air outside, then you take them out.
Yeah.
Set them out there for an hour or so and bring them back in.
Right. And I have
So they can get used to that.
kind of a week, about 5, 6, 7 days where I do that through. And
Yeah.
why you need to do this is because that the plants, when they're grown inside, it's a very sheltered environment, and they don't develop what they call a cutin layer on their leaves. And that cutin layer helps protect those leaves from drying out, from the sun and from the wind and even from a little bit of rain, because rain can actually dry things out, believe it or not. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, when it gets to the point where, you're going to be ready to take these things outside and put them in the garden, you got to adjust them to that. And what I like to do, I have a plan that I over 5 or 6 days. Okay. And you can comment on that first day when the temperatures are probably above 55 minimum. Okay. And it's not windy. I take them out and I put them in a shady area.
Shaded.
Okay,
Yeah,
shaded.
don't set them right out in the sun right away.
Absolutely not. So for 3 or 4
Right.
hours, I take them out, put them in a shaded area, and I do the same thing, a little bit. Well, the next day, maybe it's filtered light. By that time, most of the trees have some leaves on them, and I can put them underneath the trees, and they'll get some
Right.
filtered light.
They'll get some sun.
Yeah,
Right.
because the trees aren't completely filled out just yet, and
Right.
that'll happen. And I'll do that for 3 or 4 hours. And then the next day, I'll do the same thing. Okay, get a more filtered light. All along watching to make sure that those plants aren't dried out, because you take them outside, they're going to dry out real quickly.
Right.
And
You still want to treat them like they're young.
yes, absolutely, they're still babies. All right, so you want to get used to the weight of that tray, and you want to be able to look at the leaves, okay, to make sure that they're not wilting, okay, to make sure that they're not getting brown around the edges or not getting pale. And if they do, that means you kind of moved along a little bit too quickly. You got to bring them in, and you got to give them some moisture and to get them kind of rehydrated.
Right.
Okay, just like you and I have to get rehydrated if we spend too much time in the garden too early in the season.
Correct.
So
Right,
and
right.
the next day I might take them out and put them in some direct sun for a couple of hours, and then move them on into that filtered light. And the next day I'd
Right.
increase that just a little bit more, of maybe 3 or 4 hours of some direct sun if it wasn't too hot. Okay, and if it's not windy, it's that and you can do it a variety of different ways. But I try to define something for our listeners, okay, that's going to make sense. You go from that shady time, okay, to sunny shine, okay, some filtered light in between, and you gradually do that. And if you do that for, the better part of a week,
About a
you're
week.
you're probably gonna have them pretty well hardened off, and
Right.
and they're gonna do really well for you.
Towards the end of that week, if the temperature stays above like 60 or 55, you can leave them out all night.
Oh yes.
Before you actually plant them.
Absolutely. Good point.
Yeah. Right.
But I encourage you to be careful, because
Yes.
the
Yes,
little
definitely.
the little guys that come around during the night to eat eat plants.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
make
That can happen also. Yep.
yeah, you gotta protect those things, okay? Because
Right.
rabbits are gonna love
Those
those,
little
and
critters.
so will chipmunks and voles
Yeah.
and deer, etc.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Yeah.
set out a trace a salad for me. How nice of them
It's
to do
just
that.
for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be careful of all these little things. So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
Ellen, you
Mhm.
wanted to jump down into the garden too, didn't you?
Right. I thought maybe we could talk about getting our garden ready to plant. If we've
Okay.
had one last year, we could talk about what do we have to do now to get it ready to plant
Okay. Fine. So
when our transplants are ready.
so for those gardeners that have had a garden last year, what would you advise them to do this time of year?
Well, I actually have them go down or go wherever their garden is and do a walkthrough. Now, hopefully, you know how I am, Mike. Hopefully, at the end of the last growing season, they cleaned their garden. They pulled all the plants that were left there and, did some work cleaning up the debris. However,
Oh, we
if
all did
they
that.
didn't, oh, of course, especially you and I, we did it. We want to make sure that before we start doing anything there, if the soil is dry enough, you don't want to work in wet soil in your garden. You get rid of all of last year's plants and the debris that's maybe came in over the winter or something like that. Start there. I would do that. What do you think?
No, that's perfectly good start. Yeah, get all that
Right,
stuff out of
right.
there and turn that soil over if it's dry
hmm
enough. I
If
like to
it's
use that.
dry enough,
Yeah,
start
if
turning
it's
it
dry
over.
enough. Yeah, and I think about
hmm hmm
adding some organic material to the soil because
Right,
I'm
right.
crazy about adding organic material to the soil, aren't I?
Well, now if they did what we did at Emmaus Grove, we planted the winter rye in
Mm-hmm.
our beds. So if the soil is dry enough, this would be the time, once you've cleaned out the debris, you'd want to turn that winter rye over so that that organic material can get back into the soil.
Yep, and it decomposes
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
all the nice
Mhm.
biological activity in that soil is going to
Right.
release those
Right.
nutrients to your garden plants. Ellen,
Mhm. Mhm.
we're already beyond seven
We're out.
minutes, and
Okay.
we have to kind of cut things off here. So we're going to pick it up
Okay.
then. In fact, what we're going to next time around, we're going to talk about new gardeners. Okay, since there's kind of
Okay.
a renewed interest in gardening because of the coronavirus, okay, pandemic.
Mhm.
Okay, we want to talk to people about how do you go about starting a new garden.
Getting
And
started.
yeah, and there's
Okay.
some steps
Mhm.
we'd kind of like you to consider to do. So until next time,
Okay.
thank you for listening. Ellen, it's nice to have you back all week.
Yes,
Okay.
it's good to be here
Yes.
where I am. But
Okay.
it worked out well.
We got you
Okay.
hidden in the basement somewhere, don't we?
Right,
Okay, fine.
right.
Thank you now. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.